we're going to Los Angeles for the Season 3 World Championship, and we're really excited. At least I am.
Welcome back to Gamescom 2013. Before we go into our next match, I'm very happy to be joined by Crepo and Snoopy of Evil Geniuses. And I gotta say, thank you so much for coming out and saying a couple of words. It'll mean tons to the fans. Let me ask you about the experience, of course. It's just fresh in the memory, dominating that first game, but then it just all fell apart.
Gamescom's been a fantastic experience for us. It's great to come out here, and the support that we have from the fans is absolutely phenomenal. I had to take a good 30 minutes after the game just to gather myself, but I went out there and seen the fans backstage, and I was there for a good hour and a half, and there was actually more there just waiting for us. We really, really appreciate the support. We're sorry to disappoint you guys, but we'll be back in Season 4.
Yeah. Crepo, is there anything you want to say about the game you had specific, or do you just want to forget it as fast as possible?
I mean, losing is not fun. We just gotta take the lessons we can out of the game, and then just know that even though we lost so many people, we're
It's been an event. It's a great performance you've been able to put down here.
I'm definitely proud of the achievement that we made. The start of the season and then the second split as well was not the greatest for us. At the end of it, we finished quite strong, but our expectations got higher and higher towards the end of the split, and we really, really wanted to get to Worlds. And we tried our damnedest to get there, and unfortunately we couldn't pull through in the end. And I want to say full credit to Gambit. They're really, really worthy opponents. We've fought with those guys for 2 years now, and if anyone deserves it, it's definitely them. They're great guys.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys about that. When the game was over, you guys were crushed, and still when you were near Gambit, you guys just hugged them, because somewhere inside there must have been a little, okay, we're kind of happy for them as well.
I mean, they're going to Worlds. You have to be happy for them. You can cry all you want off stage and backstage, but if you see how much it means to them as well, everybody wants to go there. And if there's any team that can represent Europe, like Gambit has to be part of it. I started with Lemondogs and Fnatic as well. I think we have 3 really strong teams going there. It really hurts not being one of those teams, but all you can do is congratulate them and hope they represent Europe really well.
Yeah, but finally, you guys are in Season 4. You guys are going to be back, and what's in the future?
The future is quite a while away. That's the only thing. It's quite a while till the future. We have a 5 months downtime. We're probably going to lay back a little bit. A couple of us are going to go to Worlds and check out Worlds as spectators, sadly, but we're going to lay back a little bit, and then we have to step it up again for Season 4. What I want the fans to do, though, is I want you guys to support the 3 teams that are there. I know we're one of the most popular teams in Europe, but get behind the 3 teams that are there. They need all the help they can get. The Koreans are a bit harsh right now, but you guys have to support them, please.
Thank you very much for coming out, you guys, and good luck in Season 4. We're looking forward to that. All right, it's time for us to go back to the desk to D-Man and Jat for the next game.
Thank you very much, Shox. A great interview there with Snoopy and Crepo. So coming into the game 2 of this best of 5 series between Fnatic and Lemondogs, Soaz and his crew have now won 7 games in a row. That's a pretty big deal. And now just 2 more wins to take them their 2nd straight European split championships.
Yeah, and our feature matchup here, Peke, I'd say he won round 1 there against Nuke Duck. 8-1 and 8 as Twisted Fate, and he was the facilitator and creator of most of the action for Fnatic. Another thing was Soaz. He played the best Yorick we've seen in the playoffs so far. Even though he didn't seem to dominate the laning phase, he actually made plays as Yorick, which is not something many players can do.
No, it's definitely not something you do too often. Of course, Cyanide was the omen of death that he used many, many times, because Cyanide was also creating the plays. He was diving in there, just knowing full well that Soaz had his back.
Yeah, it was actually a pretty good synergy that they were able to pull off with those 2. Not expected from Pix and Vans. They'd obviously had it at least mapped out in their minds how it was going to go, and they executed it quite well.
So game 2 going to be starting shortly. What are we thinking from Pix and Vans? Is that Twisted Fate going to get taken away? This time, of course, Fnatic will be on the blue side, Lemondogs on the red side. Is it effectively down to Lemondogs to have to force that ban?
I don't know, actually. This is the tricky one, because I feel like the Fizz is a plan that Lemondogs should be comfortable with. we're going to find out very quickly how much respect they're giving Xpeke here if they do decide to ban it away, because knowing how early Peke picked it in the last one means Peke is fully confident in his ability to play Twisted Fate and doesn't necessarily respect Nukeduck's ability to counter. But if you do that, you leave up all the other stuff. Zed, as well as Kassadin are the things you always have to
Ari
do.
as well.
Ari, all
We've
those
seen
things.
some strong Aris this weekend as well. I mean, think back to Pharrell Nord, of course, for alternate. He was absolutely dominated on Ari, and no surprise that actually, I think the EG Gambit game, Ari is banned in every single match up there. Nobody wanted to let Froggen have it, or Alexei hasn't run it too often, to be fair, but Froggen definitely has. And the same you could say for Fnatic, because we've seen Peke running Ari a lot. If Twisted Fate's taken away, that's like his default champion, falls back to.
Absolutely. These guys are such almost established assassin-type players, and they're so good at the in and out gameplay. Any of the champions that can exhibit those types of talents, where they can kill a person and then still escape, are what these guys are all about. Twisted Fate doesn't necessarily fit into that. He generally goes in and kills a person, and let's hope he killed enough people, because otherwise he's going to die in that situation.
So, looks like the picks and bans are underway. Zed being taken away, no surprise there. Nukeduck not being allowed that. Or technically Peke as well, banning it away from himself. Thresh being used as a ban. I am not sure about that as a ban against Mithy. I don't feel he's that strong as Thresh player, but of course Kassadin and Shen being the other bans, not letting Shen get through, technically a global threat. And of course we've all seen Peke's Kassadin backdoors.
Yeah, and Mithy actually seems like the type of player who plays a lot of different supports as well. I know I've seen him excel on support fiddlesticks sometimes, and where he has no business excelling on in certain games for that. But it's still a ban that at least Fnatic feels is valid in this situation, especially because Fnatic likes to play such a split-around playstyle. Thresh is one of those champions who can kind of create a lot of plays when you're not expecting him to, as well as having very strong level 1 action. So in that sense, the ban makes sense, and through all of this, no Twisted Fate ban.
Yeah, Twisted Fate has got through. So Jarvan and Zac, the final 2 bans coming through. So Jarvan taken away. We'll see whether Dexter actually go for Lee Sin. That sometimes is his fallback champion, but right now it's Fnatic to make that first pick. What will they go with here?
They have so many options on the table. Ari is something we talked a lot about. Twisted Fate is obviously still available. Those would be like the 2 high priority things right now for them.
There is Ari. Ari getting selected in there, so has managed to sneak through. That also means that actually I don't think Twisted Fate will come out from Lemondogs, because it's not a great pick against Ari, I don't feel.
No, but it's also not a great pick against Fizz, and that was successful. Whereas Fizz is actually a very good pick against Ari.
Yeah.
I wonder if Fnatic is just kind of saying, you guys think you're great at Fizz, everyone's banning Fizz against you, we don't respect it at all, because they've kind of picked 2 counters like right away, saying, just daring Nukeduck to play it.
And there is the Lee Sin pick. So Dexter has fallen back to Lee Sin, and of course that's going to take it away from Cyanide. Kennen also being picked once again. That will be Zoro 0 in the top lane. Or will it be? It could be Nukeduck. We've seen a lot. It's funny, we saw a lot, like Kennen had completely moved to that mid lane for a while.
Yeah.
And now he's back in the top.
May as well just stroll on up there. I think it's just because there's been so many kind of tank melees that have became up top lane. Kennen can then survive again up there strongly. For a while, we were seeing a lot more Rise in the top lane, which wasn't necessarily what Kennen wanted to play against. And Aatrox, that's such a, I feel like it's a European thing right now.
I've had so many people from other regions saying, why is all of Europe just playing Aatrox? But to be honest, you look at Aatrox in the EG Gambit game, everyone that had Aatrox won.
Huge impact in a lot of these games so far for these guys. The way they're using specifically his passive to just really screw with people, every time it seems to be up, and it's on a pretty long cooldown. I think it's 4 to 4.5 minutes. It seems to always be up when these guys are playing it, because their timing there initiates very well around it.
And it's generally been the fallback champion. Sinai played it a number of times during the Super Week. Zyra also getting picked out by their Yellowstar. We could see Ashe to follow that Zyra-Ashe combo they used in the last match and has been used to great success all across the world. Twisted Fate was locked in, so Nukeduck thought, you know what, I am going to use Twisted Fate. You're not going to take it, we're going to make use of it. And Lulu being picked as a support by Mythic.
I'm a little excited to see Nukeduck's take on Twisted Fate now, right after Soaz had such a good game on it. I almost feel like he's kind of throwing down the gauntlet by picking Twisted Fate at this point, since he knows it's a tough game for him against Ari, and it's really just his turn to show off.
It's interesting that they've used the AD carry as their last pick, which we're pretty sure will be Caitlyn. I think they knew that was going to happen. So, I mean, they kind of showed their hand with Twisted Fate very earlier there. They could have left it as their last pick.
Again,
it's going to be, again, Soaz on Yorick.
He liked the matchup last game against Kennen. He's confident doing this one again. And if it's going to be anything like last match, he's just going to be cloning Cyanide and giving Aatrox a third life occasionally, which can make him a little bit more effective for sustaining in team fights.
Let's keep him alive that little bit longer. This is a switch up though. Looks like Lemondogs again. You know what? The Sona lane didn't work out too great, the Caitlyn Sona lane, despite the fact they had a pretty good CS advantage for a very decent portion of that lane phase.
Yeah.
Looks like they're going to choose to go across towards Tabs. Tabs and Mithy are going to go towards Twitch and Lulu. We're seeing Mithy on the screen right now, just waiting for the final decision from his team. He is a big talker in that team.
Yeah, even though the whole team, as he has said before, contributes to their tactical decisions, we've heard these guys talk before. And Mithy, he's being humble when he says those
opinionated, I think it's
He's
safe to say.
opinionated, and he's also a facilitator of a lot of things. So even if other people have their own thoughts on champions, he's always going to be asking them for it, pinging them constantly, and making everyone think about these things.
Making Fnatic think about that Twitch for a long period of time, and then switching it to Vayne at the last minute. So Vayne, Lulu going to be that bottom lane. Will they go for the 2v1 this time against SOAS?
I feel like if they're doing Vayne Lulu, they're probably thinking about the 2v1. The Lulu is a bit of a curious pick here, and it makes more sense when they pick the Vayne because they need to necessarily protect him in his mobile state, just because Vayne isn't one of those people who you can build protection around. Vayne needs protection as she goes in, so you need to build a lot of shields for that. Because you normally don't pick Lulu unless you have a strong tank or a melee, but Vayne kind of fits that shell. Not sure how the rest of Lemondogs is going to be working against Fnatic, who almost has the same style comp they had last game.
I'm interested why Zora0's also decided to choose to stick with the Kennen instead of the Vladimir, which has been a great success for him.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with just initiation potential. They had trouble initiating last game. They don't even have Jarvan this time. Their initiation is even lower. If he went with Vladimir, essentially it would just be Nukeduck chasing people down, trying to find fights. I think that's the reason they went with Kennen.
If you have just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, you can see we are live from Gamescom. Big crowd stretching way back in the halls here for this final of the European LCS playoffs. Just look at that shot. You can see everybody's faces staring this way, looking towards it. Camera's just to the side, guys. I know you're looking at the big screen, but there is so many of you guys all supporting the teams. And obviously, we just heard from Snoopy just saying, you know, get behind these teams. This is going to be the European contenders as they go across the pond to United States of America and Los Angeles. We've already seen a number of teams qualified. If you haven't been kept up to speed, Mineski were the first team to get through there. Of course, from the Philippines, actually representing the Southeast Asian regions. They beat out Singapore Sentinels in that final. The second team to get through, well, it was Gaming Gear EU, the Lithuanians. They got through the International Wildcard Tournament, worked out very well for them. We've also seen the day one was, of course, Fnatic and Lemondogs of the European LCS playoffs. They got into the semi-final. That means they are there in the Season 4. Then Najin Blacksword, they've qualified through Korea through the point system because they won the OGN Spring Champions, gave them a big point difference despite the fact they've been off the boil for the last few months. And of course, finally today, Gambit, they are now through. So they are 3 European teams as well as the rest of the world. North America, well, it's going to be all happening in PAX just next week for you, Jan. Absolutely. You're going to be there. You're going to have a busy old week, of course. We'll see what 3 teams join them. But right now, Game 2 underway, Fnatic 1-0 up. They were the Spring Champions. Can they be the Summer Champions and take the #1 seed for Europe to the World Finals? Lemondogs, of course, this young upstart team that came through the promotion series. They are top of the league, but can they be top of the playoffs?
Well, they're down 1-0 so far against Fnatic, and they need to make some plays in this one, knowing that they're part of that elite club right now that are going to be going to the World Championship. Has to give them some nice confidence going in, but of all those teams, they are very close to having the least experience. All these other guys have played on giant stages before, whereas Lemondogs, this is their biggest stage right now, and it's only going to get bigger for them. So practice here and some confidence, if they can become the European champions, will go a long way.
It's been an interesting journey for these guys through that battle promotion against All Authority. Were swept aside 3-0, and then at DreamHack, the cheers, the Nukeduck happened. He was effectively a superstar in Scandinavia, in Sweden. Despite the fact, I believe he's a Norwegian, he was definitely very popular over there, but we are seeing an invade from both teams. So Lemondogs going for the blue buff of Fnatic. Fnatic themselves going for the blue buff of Lemondogs. So even trade at the start here. No craziness, no defensive fights simply both being wards, ironically. It's simply a mirror right there.
No tomfoolery happening at level 1 here for these guys. And even Mithy as well, as you're mentioning some of the experience Lemondogs has had. He was a huge fan favorite over in Tenerife when they had that tournament there. So each one of these guys has their own little bits of stardom, but nothing compared to what they're going to experience if they make some noise at the World Championships.
So, as it is, despite the fact they've been voted out, 23 of the 28 matches they played, they didn't get voted in. So far, Fnatic were, what, 63% favorites in this one. They are 1-0 up, so maybe the fans are going to be correct this time around. We'll see if that works out for them. Lemondogs, though, looking to go for an invade in the top lane. Dexter with these double buffs on Lee Sin going in.
And it's a level 1 SOAS right now. We saw a backfired 3v1 dive in the Gambit game where Darian was able to hold off, and this could be a very aggressive dive. He has hit level 2, but if Tabs gets any type of stun into Dexter, it could work, but they have to go fast because Cyanide is closing in behind them.
Yeah, the last minion is about to go down. We see the giant wave coming in. Cyanide will close the gap though. Dark Path will be available. Condemn Soaz onto wall, but look at Cyanide. The moment he shows up, they all back away from this one, and they're putting good damage down towards Dexter. Has to force the flash away. Cyanide's going to flash and follow. He may be able to get first blood here. No, the E doesn't land. They switch back towards Mithy. Dark Path will be back available, but Cyanide's now taking low. Remember, he's passive. He's going to get popped. Tabs is going to be waiting around. Just finish run. Dexter follows on through. Safeguard back to Dexter, and that is going to be Lemondogs with first blood.
Well, there are those Lee Sin plays coming in from Dexter. He knew Cyanide was going to be jumping immediately, so he made sure to follow, and Zoro0's going down.
He's going to get taken off. It's going to be Pushu that finishes this one off. Soaz taking more damage in that bottom lane, of course, in the top lane, Soaz. But action all across the board here.
Yeah, and check out that Q spinning around to go around the corner and finish off Cyanide. That is cool looking, is all I have to say. And for how hard they worked and the plays they had to make to get that kill, to give it all away, really, and die in a 2v1 on the other side just evens the game, and it's got to be a little disappointing for Lemondogs.
I think it not only evens the game, actually Fnatic put more pressure on towards the tower there. Nuke had also made a journey up the river as well, but we do see he's putting pressure on towards Peke at the moment, throwing out those cards and keeping him at bay. That's going to be such a volatile exchange, I feel, in that mid lane. Soaz taking those silver bolts, procking out the damage. Pushu continues to push this bottom lane. Zoro0 returns back in there after his first death. Does manage to go back. Only got himself a singular ward because, simply put, the two top laners have been punished heavily at the start of this game.
That lane for Zoro0 has started very poorly. Yes, Zyra Ashe is a difficult 2v2 to lane against, but Kennen, with his range, should be able to keep safe in those situations, and now that his back is actually covered with wards, no one can really help him. At this point, Pushu and Yellow Star get to punish him as much as they want.
Has reasonable stats, 5-4-2, not the greatest, of course. Once he was the front-loaded man, he's going to be the one that goes in with that slicing Maelstrom and Zhonya Zagla, so we expect him to die once he goes in if the team fight goes south, which he did many times in game 1, and this Zyra Ashe combo, Pushu and Yellow Star, seems to be something that works for them. It's been used heavily by Cloud9 in the North American LCS for the last 9 weeks, and it seems that finally Europe's gone, you know what, that seems to work.
Making the rounds. It's an incredibly effective combo, not only because it can live early on in the lane, but because it creates team fights and it gives you a lot of safety. It's just so much of what you need. And both Ashe and Zyra create so much range and utility for your team, and it's obviously versatile as well. Look at how they've been able to punish Zoro0 thus far.
Cyanide himself is punishing. He's taking away the rates from Dexter, while Dexter comes down to support Zoro0 because he needs that help at the moment. Did miss out on that Sequini as well. Nuka's got to be careful because Cyanide's coming around the side there. We've seen, what's that, Dark White can just get in towards there. The Charm gets sidestepped though. Walks back in towards the turret. Spirit Rush used out. Good stun. Nuke Peke's going to take 3 tower hits there. Cyanide unable to help out and catch on.
And Nuke Duck did the same thing Peke did last game by starting with boots in that lane to more easily dodge potential skill shots here. That's one of the reasons he was able to juke out of that charm and fall back into his turret as quickly as he can to survive those ganks.
Zoro0 That tower is pretty low in that bottom lane. And Pushu is very close to hitting level 6. Condemns Soaz on towards the wall there. The pulse proccing off there. The damage forcing Soaz back away from this one. Tabs yet to hit level 6 though. Hasn't got an ultimate to put the damage down. So both top laners in that perilous position right now of getting in towards 6. We do see Dexter though down that bottom lane. Comes out to help Zoro. So we're seeing the first back from Pushu and Yellowstar.
And these are extended 2v1 lanes, which actually really hurt the top laners, or side laners as I like to call them, in most of these games. They spend so much time against two people, they get incredibly far behind on gold, as opposed to before some of the turret changes. If a turret went down to 3 or 4 minutes, top laner just starts farming up right after that. It's kind of like no harm done for him, just a little bit of harm done for his team. This is much harder on 0-0 and Soaz, since they've been in these lanes for so long. It's going to be on them to have to spend the time and recover.
Tabs and Mithy stuck around in that top lane a lot longer to try and get that tower down while Soaz was away. So that should be the first tower of the game falling down here. Nuke, meanwhile, back in that mid lane, gets himself a second Doran's Blade. But look at that, because they stayed in that top lane for so long, Fnatic, they've been back to buy, they've realized they've got a big advantage, they're taking Dragon for free. Yeah,
and after this, Fnatic may be able to take the turret because Yellowstar and Pushu have done such a good job in that bottom lane, kind of holding their own and dealing with Dexter, who's kind of set up shop in that bottom lane as well, just to support.
So, Dragon taken by 3 members off Fnatic. As you see in the mid lane, Peke wasn't required to go and help that one. Gone for the, looks like Athene's an early grail to start with. Well, he's got, at least got the chalice to start it off, of course. Last time game around, he went full on aggression. Interesting to see Nuke not going that route, not going for that needlessly large rod early on, in the double Dorans and the Amtone.
It's a little interesting. He can still just build that into a Sheen and go kind of the same build that Peke did in the last game. He just didn't have the gold break point that Peke did previously to go for that item. Peke, you know, he's got a lot of jumps up right now, so this gank by 0-0 would have to basically come in after Peke goes aggressive.
Yeah, I think he was actually trying to bait 0-0 to come in there, using the charm on the siege. He's like, I haven't got my charm anymore. I'm a vulnerable target.
What are you gonna do? You could come and get me. I only have 3 dashes and a flash.
Only got all the aggression to turn this one around. Peke, by the way, we didn't mention that has got teleport, so he's going to be trying to keep track of Nuke or go for the back door, of course. But the pressure down this bottom lane is where that action is. Tabs is going to get locked up. The plan's catching on. The barrier being used up. The good Strangle Thoughts comes out, tries to turn this one around. He's going to get away. No, he's not. Yellowstar flashes in. Pays through with his life, but a support and maybe another kill. The passive comes out. Yellowstar taps him down, but trading that back in there. Pushu got took out as well. It was a double kill. Both bottom lanes. Dexter having to use the kick to keep Cyanide away and flashes off.
So the supports traded double kills with each other, of all things. At least the AD carries got the assist, so that means they should spend it on wards and then come back to lane like a regular support would. But man, that actually showed a couple things. A, the power of the Zyra lane, being able to lock down Tabs, but also why they brought Lulu with Vayne. Let's actually just take a look at this one more time, because it was an arrow into a Stranglethorns, but Tabs actually tries to turn around and goes aggressive because of Mithy's stuff. More action happening up top.
Dexter going to get taken down. The Ignite from Soaz doing work there, and actually 2 red buffs you can see from Cyanide and Soaz. That was a hard, long work to kill to take Dexter down. They've been chasing him for some time, so no surprise he gets on there. Zoro taken very low. He's not going to be able to defend this turret here.
He's got to be extremely careful. The double buff Soaz actually hasn't even shopped yet. Can't chase him very quickly, but they're able to deny him off the turret, and with that giant wave, unless Nuke Duck goes up there to hold, which would be dangerous in itself, they're going to lose another turret.
So this lane combo, Lemon initiated the switch, of course. Tabs and Mithy went in that top lane, pushing Condemned away from the damage this time around. They forced it up. They needed Vayne in that separate lane, but it has punished 0-0. He's way behind in CS on Soaz, and as you said, Soaz hadn't even been back to chop yet. He was happy to just sit there against Mithy and Tabs and just farm up.
And if we remember the very start of the game where 0-0 died in that 1v2, even though they were both in a similar lane situation, 0-0 was definitely behind in experience, even if it didn't show in farm. So once he rolled up there, you can see it really displayed even stronger now. Soaz is level 9, 0-0 is just now level 6, probably going to hit 7 off that giant wave. It's another reason he fell so far behind with that initiated lane swap.
So it also means Tabs is going to have a lot of pressure on him from the late game to carry through this one on that Vayne. It is possible with a Vayne, of course, even against an Ashe. And Ashe is all about the initiation, but Peke, I feel will be targeting Tabs pretty heavily. That may give Nuke the time and the freedom, though, when the team fights happen.
Yeah, the team fights in this game are going to be very skill intensive in a sense, because Tabs is going to want to be kind of trying to slip past Peke. A lot of times Vayne's like to play around the sides of fights, and he can't dodge that arrow, so that's not a good start.
Strangleforce is going to catch them both as well. Tabs tries to turn it around, uses that condemned wild growth back on towards him, but they simply haven't got the damage. He's going to try and gamble back away. No, the hawk shot used by Pushu gets him that vision. He may be able to get the second kill here. No, he's going to see the volley. That's not going to land, but coming around the side, Cyanide is going to dive on in, take that tower hit damage, and he gets the kill and the tower as well. Fnatic in control of that bottom lane.
They are looking good so far in this game. All the lanes are actually going their way. Surprisingly, Peke is the only one thus far to not make a huge impact. Let's take a look at this fight one more time. Tabs couldn't get out of range of the Ash Arrow, and then he also got locked up by the Zyra ultimate. Even though he tried to make a run into the brush, Yellowstar was there with a clutch ward, and it just basically allowed Fnatic to finish off that one. They got such a great jump on the Vayne Lulu. Even though they wouldn't straight up out TPS them, all the crowd control allowed them to have the upper hand.
So Infinity Edge now already complete by Pushu. 13.5 minutes into this game. That is a pretty early IE.
Yeah, 5,200 gold in total on him. It's actually 1,400 ahead of Tabs right now. That matchup is swinging heavily in his favor. Also, the top lane matchup, Soaz dominating Zora Zero, and they're using all these advantages now to take their two strongest people and push up the mid lane.
And that mid lane is under pressure. Tabs is back down this bottom. He's trying to keep that farm going. He has got a good farm. Let's not take that away from him, but the fact that, like you say, that gold is the kills and the assists is stacking heavily in Pushy's favor. Yellowstar, he's been the man creating those plays, they're creating everything. Of course, we've got to look at towards these two, because Yellowstar used to be the AD carry. That's going to be the mid lane turret for Fnatic. That's the third outer turret of the game. So everything down in the outer lanes, and that is going to be start pushing in. Fnatic going to be looking to take control. Dragon, of course, will be spawning, which they did take. They will know the exact time on that.
And this is exactly how Fnatic wants to play. You just saw there were 4 of them in the mid lane, whereas Peke was getting an edge on farm. Now, can Peke deal with Nuke Duck on the side? He gets jumped on. Is he going to try to just... He's going to dash away.
He's just going to teleport away because that stun was already used. Gets away from that one. So, Mipney got caught out. No doubt about that one.
Yep.
When a Lulu gets caught, he's going to die pretty quick.
Yeah, that was just Yellowstar having the vision control, and they're trying to take as many advantages as possible from having these 3 outer turrets down. Once Fnatic does this, they're able to catch around the corners here and initiate whenever they want.
And just bounce him up and down. The arrow comes through from Pushu, finds his target. Dexter goes down. Nuke comes in with his destiny, just simply trying to stop him in his tracks. Cyanide is actually pretty low. They can turn this one back on towards him. It has got that blood well available. It's going to get used. That's the passive going down. Slice him out from Zora Zero. Just simply used defensively. They did take down the passive of Cyanide, but they lost yet another.
Yeah, the 4 of Fnatic right now are destroying the other 4 of Lemon Dogs, because Nuke Duck and Peke haven't really been involved. 0-0-0 across both of those guys, but the rest of Fnatic is just crushing, being able to take down this Dragon as well.
5,000 gold advantage stretches to 6 as the Dragon goes down. Big lead by Fnatic here in game 2. They're 1-0 up already, and they are looking so strong. They said they were going to play aggressive, and they were not lying. They have 8 kills to 3 right now. 3-1 in turrets, and they are starting to split push early. They are starting to keep that pressure on. The Fiends and Holy Grail has been completed by Peke. He's already shown his hand. He's continuing to keep that pressure going. The question is, how will it work between Peke and Nuke? How will his power switches go? Because the Lich Bane has been completed by Nuke.
Yeah, Nuke Duck is going to need a little bit more before he can really take on Peke, but Peke's in full farm mode right now. We can see that because of all the magic resist he's built, and the fact that he went for Mercury Tread. So he's actually sitting at 95 MR right now. He's not actually turning himself into Assassinari until quite some time from now, based on that start. Mana regeneration and cooldown reduction from his Unholy Grail, and a little bit of tenacity from those Mercury Treads is just making him split push. Talked a bit earlier about, or haven't talked earlier about the way Peke farms. He almost always has the highest farm in the game, not necessarily because he dominates his opponents in lane, but because the team uses him as that side lane shover the whole game. He's pushing up the side lane right now. He's going back to base. He pinged another wave. Guess where he's going next with those home guard boots? It's his job right now to just keep the lane shoved while the rest of Fnatic's crew plays the rest of the game. It's actually putting Lemondogs in a very difficult situation because they can't keep pace with his home guard boots coming out and pushing all the other lanes, whereas the other Lemondogs are free to go wherever they, or Fnatic are free to go wherever they want.
Yeah, they're actually doing a 2-2-1 split push, as it were. They can see that in that mid lane was Pushu and Cyanide, keeping every single lane pressured. So as he's not going back, he's sitting in that tri-bush. He's ready and waiting to go straight back on towards Zoro Zero. Yellow Star also laying in wait. So they're actually trying to set a trap in that bottom lane right now.
Yeah, they're hoping that Zoro Zero gets a little antsy thanks to all their lanes being permanently shoved back. But they're not doing that right now. They actually recognize that they are extremely far down in this game and they need a little bit more time. Nukeduck probably needs either Azanya's, a Deathfire Grasp, or a Rabadon's Death Cap before he can make any type of significant impact, especially because Soaz is already kind of tanked up. Spirit Visage, this early in the game, means he can basically just run at people. He didn't even go for the Mana Mune early on in this game. He's just going full tank for the most part. Even Cyanide is actually going fairly tanky. It's really just Fnatic's giant lead is turning themselves actually into somewhat defensive items, which is going to make them slightly immovable, and it more shows that Fnatic is looking for objectives right now, and the inability for Lemondogs to push them off.
Inability. Zoro Zero has actually regained a little bit of farm. You can see how far behind he was on Soaz, but as you mentioned, Soaz is just that giant tank. And now the arrow gets fired off, catches on towards Zoro Zero, hasn't got that Sonya's Hourglass yet, so he's just going to get melted down. Stranglethorn's used perfectly. That's going to be Pushu. He went, he was actually being kicked into
He's okay with that.
Yeah, he's not mine. He's going to try and get in there. They want to get the damage on towards Mithy. Peke comes in, should finish him off. One more hit does it, but now the Peke is going to get taken down. The Silver Bolts comes in. Tabs gets himself a kill. Pushu tries to turn this one around. A number of French champions come in there. The barrier gets used out. Pushu is safe. No. He lives just about.
He is so close right now to going down, and that was just a very aggressive move by Fnatic. It's that danger turret right there that they were able to dive. Once they got the arrow through, there's so much space between the other two turrets that allows this dive to happen. Cyanide obviously combos amazingly with the Ashe arrow at first, which gets rid of most of Lemondog's counter dive. And then Dexter actually kicks Ashe into the safest place Pushu could be right now, as he's able to take down Lulu. And then we saw, as Nukeduck gets involved near the end, at the very tail end of that fight, Peke isn't doing much damage. It took him all 3 dashes just to take out Lulu, but it was still enough.
The irony was, that was a 5-2-5, 5-1-5 Yellow Star that just got taken down. There was a 500 gold shutdown bonus there for Nukeduck.
That could be a problem.
Could be a problem. Oh, the arrow lands. Zoro Zero. The charm is going to be the easiest one that Peke's ever thrown out, and it's Pushu that gets fed the kill. Now Mithy's in trouble. Spirit Rush still available. It's going to have another charge on towards Mithy. There goes the charm. It's another one given across. This time Peke will take it.
Yeah, not much Mithy can do about that, as he just tried to help Zoro Zero a little bit, and then recognized, that's an Ashe and an Ahri that are coming after me. Extremely difficult for you to get away from if you're playing a Lulu. And yeah, that's a lot of kills that Yellow Star has been able to pick up so far this game. Now that we have some time to speak about it, he hopefully is going there now for a Mikhail's Crucible, which is one of the most cost items we've seen lately. That'll potentially save Ashe, or most likely Ashe, if Nukeduck decides to try and assassinate or at least get on him later in the game. As soon as that stun card lands, he'll be able to clear the stun off of Pushu for him to allow him to just fight back and kill Nukeduck.
We talked about the advantage that Pushu had gained over Tabs. He's now got a full item ahead. Sonic Shift completed, and that was before the fight, so I feel like he's going to have quite a bit of gold stacking up right now. Peke's continuing that split push out there. Look at that gold difference. Holy moly. 2,500 gold split between the AD characters. That is not what you'd like to see. The jungler, in fact, Cyanide's got 1,000 gold over Dexter.
These are big-time gold totals. We got a 6,200, 300 gold support, by the way. He was about 1,600 more gold than Zoro Zero. Gary Zara. But really,
he's got almost as much gold as Soaz.
Yeah, that's a lot of money right there. But then look at Nukeduck, actually, who's the only one keeping up in gold. He's got 888 gold from his loaded dice passive, which is really the only reason Nukeduck seems like he's keeping pace with Xpeke right now. Lemondogs needs a lot of help in this game because Fnatic is beating them much worse than they did in Game 1, where Fnatic had a fair bit of control.
Remember, this is for a seeding in the World Championships. Those group stages, with a double round robin, it is going to be a torrid time for these teams. And remember, Europe, they don't get that bye. They don't get that push through just because, ironically, of the performance they had at the Wildstars, which none of these players unfortunately took part in. It was
Soaz
was in there. Yes, Soaz did actually. And of course, well, he's the 1v1 champion of the world for how much that tournament actually meant to him. But Peke, he steals away that blue buff. The Dragon was also picked up by Fnatic. That's the third one of the game for them. And it also stretches that gold lead to just around about 8,000 right now. They are continuing their split push, but look at the bottom, top.
There's a chance that we're going to see some action here. Again, Peke's going off to deal with tabs, but Fnatic has been willing to dive before. That was when they had Peke with them, so there's a chance that Peke's going to push off Vayne and then maybe try and teleport in about 20 seconds or so. We have to see if that sets up.
Clears out the wave. Tabs has ran a mile. Not going to close the gap down. Tabs is sticking around. Sticking around because I reckon he thought Peke was probably going to do exactly what you just said, and instead he waits around. He's not going to back off because he feels, obviously, the calls come out from the team, the Lemondogs. We can hold this wave. You can see the wildcards, they're doing good wave clear. 0-0 with those shurikens trying to catch out. Dexter,
they got
it in, they've got it in, they're just going to melt him down. Hasn't got that Sonya's hourglass, so he just gets dropped. That slicing Maelstrom. Cyanide does get knocked in towards the turret, but it's only going to pop his passive. I don't believe it's going to be enough to finish it off. The teleport comes in, Peke joins the party, and now it is going to be Lemondogs that get melted. Dexter with nothing. Tabs comes in. He's desperately trying to keep them away. Peke smells a juicy target, doesn't manage to land the charm.
Still a 3-for-1 for Fnatic, and they land one thing. It's all they need for everyone else to just pile on. They got the grasping roots on a Nuke Duck to the arrow, and that just initiated the dive. And can they ever dive well?
Amazing, amazing stuff. So it was a 3-for-1 after all. And Yellowstar did get taken down. Peke gonna scratch in his head. Let's look at this again.
Yeah, of course, room to arrow to knock up, and it ended up getting Dexter as well because he ended up trying to shield in to help. It meant the Lulu wall didn't necessarily have a priority, and then look at Peke just flying in there. Just dash as soon as his teleport goes off, gets a quick double kill. He's got his DFG now, by the way, so his damage is starting to ramp up, and his farm is there as well.
And Nuke Duck, meanwhile, he's desperately trying to get that second item in there, Rabadon. Dead guillotines rather than the Zonya's Hourglass, which would have saved his life, and all of the heartache for the Lemondog fans there, as the Fnatic seem to be pushing on through. Big gold differences right now. There's 9,500 gold, 5-1 into it, 16-6. And now in the top lane, Nuke Duck is going to get away with that destiny.
Yeah, he saw a lot of bad guys coming for him right there. And luckily for him, the first bad guy was York, who was not able to interrupt him. But this is another solid game, Soaz has played on York, by the way.
Taps is playing a dangerous game in his bottom lane. He's feeling confident against Peke. He's going for it. The charm lands in there. He does manage to get the damage down. Taps tries to turn it back on towards him, and Peke forced the flash away there from Taps' Vayne.
It's because Peke's went with such an MR-heavy build, Tabs can actually attack him fairly strong, but that also leaves them open again. This four-man squad of Fnatic has done so well all game. Thought they were going to go with that Stranglethorn, but instead they're just poking around.
Good Stranglethorns nevertheless, just managed to pop all three members. Nuke Duck sneaking around the side, trying to get a poke in there. 0-0 not feeling aggressive enough to get in and slicing Maelstrom across the team. It has gone horribly wrong for him the last few times. Last Whisper was picked up by Bushu, by the way. His item build continues to be miles ahead of Tabs, which is why we're seeing Tabs just farming, desperately trying to play the catch-up game. He's got the same CS, but obviously in kills, not even close. That is going to be Tabs to pick it up a kill, though, on Yellowstar.
Yeah, Yellowstar has been dying a lot recently. He got a little greedy, I think, with his 5-kill start, and now he's just being the one with the Oracles trying to clear around, but I don't think the team is spotting him very well. Soaz probably needs to be leading the way if they're going within Lemondogs' jungle, especially with a Vayne on the loose. So they have to be a little more cautious as this moves on. Let's actually check out how he just gets caught. Nuke Duck and Vayne just found him as he was trying to clear ward. Simple as that.
Straight up stun card, and we saw the Nuke Duck was hanging around that side there. Was maybe a lack of ward coverage, which potentially Yellowstar was probably trying to do. It's just got called out. Tabs, though, continuing to try and keep up. He's actually come for that Negatron stroke, realizing that he is probably going to be fighting Peke in split lanes.
Peke is now just trying to go for the full damage build. He's going to have to find a way to deal with Tabs, actually. Because Peke can shove faster than Tabs can, but if Tabs outduels Peke, it's going to really mess up the plans of Fnatic's four-man team that they like to roam with. Even though I actually feel like Fnatic's at a point right now where they can just five-man group and go for it.
Certainly could. Pushu up 518 has a massive amount of damage, attack speed. Everything that could land will hurt. Tabs is going to have a problem closing that gap. Pushu again starts to push damage on towards that tower. The charm did bind on towards Tabs and actually pulled them heavily in towards them, but Pushu, he's just focused on doing the damage to the turret.
That was so much damage from Nukeduck just from one Q from Peke. It's sending him all the way back to base. And then he'll be back again real fast because he's TF with home guard boost. But it still means they have to be scared of the damage potential of Fnatic. We've seen if they land one Grasping Roots, maybe even a charm in the right spot, they can just combo. It's all about getting it on the right target for them before they go in. There's another charm and an arrow.
That's going to be Nukeduck surely going down. Safeguard comes up and Dexter feeling the full effect though, and just get dropped. Nukeduck has to run there, he's taken down. That's going to be a double. We see Peke taking down Tabs. That's both damage dealers for Lemondogs. There's nothing they can do about this defense now.
And that is just Fnatic grouping up as 5 because they sensed how strong they were and waiting for the catch. They got it. It gave them 2 kills plus the inhibitor.
They try to engage on Dexter. It is going to be a surrender from the Lemondogs. Wow, that is going to be Fnatic in full control. 2-0. They are 1 game away from being the Summer Split champions, the playoff champions, and of course, more importantly, the #1 seed for Europe going into the World Championships.
Yeah, now they have to lose 3 in a row in order to not win this one. They're feeling very confident right now. Kind of sitting back, calm discussion. That was about as smooth of a win as they can have right now. Only 28 minutes. You could see Lemondogs not that pleased with the way this is going. They weren't even really moving after that game ended. And I guess that's what you do when you surrender. You're in discussion mode already because you've decided the game is over.
Yeah, I think once that team fight had finished, they'd already started talking about what are we going to do next because this didn't work. We said at the start, they were kind of baiting in towards that Twisted Fate. They banned out Ari a number of times. This time they let it through, and Peke kind of proved this is a big deal, but it's more importantly, it was Yellow Star and Pushu in that bottom lane.
I have to say, this, even though at the end Peke ended up with 6 kills, he basically just went even with Nukeduck right there. He stopped Nukeduck from being able to kind of take over Twisted Fate, which was nice, but it was the other 4 people of Fnatic who generally don't get that much credit because it's usually all about Peke, who were making everything happen. Yellow Star would land a root. Soaz was super tanky considering he was giving up all of his farm essentially past 20 minutes of the game to Peke, still making a large impact with Yorick. Really a team effort there by Fnatic. Everyone but Peke making most of the plays.
Confident plays from Fnatic. We are going to send it over to Quickshot and Kobe though for a breakdown of those great wins.
Thank you very much, D-Man. I think in this particular game, it was a replay with less mistakes for Fnatic. They did everything that they did in game 1 correctly, arguably better because this time around the Ash arrows hit.
Yeah, I feel like if you've been watching the analyst desk all weekend long, I'm repeating myself from all the Fnatic games I've done, but the Ashe Zyra, I always keep coming back to it. You can't give them that much control because Ashe Zyra with Peke's split push is exactly how they want to play every single game. They actually want Ari even more than TF. They baited Lemondogs into this TF Pek. You can see it because Peke came out with the perfect counter to TF split push. It was Ari split push with teleport. This is brought about because Peke is so confident with Ari, he doesn't have to lane with Ignite. A lot of laners don't like to give that up for the laning phase, for the kill potential, but Peke is happy to take that teleport, and then he builds pure MR, goes with mana regen with the Athene's Unholy Grail, so he's pure split pushing, he's not trying to kill anyone, and that's why it ends up taking him so long to actually kill people when they do finally fight, but he built for that role. This is their same game plan they've run since they beat Evil Geniuses.
So we do have to touch on, of course, Dexter's first blood very early on. Let's go right back to the beginning of the game. We've got a replay of that really awesome Lee Sin Sonic Wave. Let's pull the replay up on your screen now and actually talk us through this one. This is basically just a cool play that we want to highlight.
Yeah, so since we've been harping on Ashe Zyra for so long, let's give the star over here to the Lee Sin from Dexter, and we can add in some flavor text here. All right, so Soaz, he's going to get dove. Cyanide's got some good timing. He's going to get there just after the nick of time. because they know there's a giant wave up here, probably going to go for the dive. Let's roll this one slowly through, and we can see it start out. Now, Soaz tries to pull a trick flash here, but Tab's already queued up his condemn, so it ends up hitting anyway, and they only have to take one tower shot for this dive that was a bit mistimed. Tabs doesn't want to come out through the turret, though, and follow this 3v2 situation. Because of that, Cyanide feels confident. Even though this is 2 versus 3 for him, he's going to go and continue on Dexter. Dexter gets a very good safeguard out there, and because it's so hard to hit that E from Aatrox, he's able to finish it off. Excuse me, Cyanide's still going aggressive onto Mythy, but he backs off. Okay, now we'll pause here. This is where Dexter's really cool play comes in, and let me explain how he pulls it off. The Bloodwell passive, it doesn't just come out after a random time here. It depends on how much you've charged up that second bar here. You can see it draining down, this red bar for Cyanide that's under his health bar. As soon as that gets to 0, that's exactly when he pops back up. So Dexter knows this, and he times his Sonic Wave with the exact instant Cyanide gets back up. So even though Cyanide's jumping into the air as soon as he's alive, Dexter can follow him over. Roll this through, again slowly, and we'll see. The Bloodwell's draining. As soon as it gets down to 0, pops up, there's the Sonic Wave, and he can follow him over for the kill. Very well deserved first blood, and as Jat said, just looks cool.
Yeah, it was a really, really cool play. Unfortunately for the Lemondogs, it started to go downhill at a very rapid rate from here on out. We touched on the Ashe Zyra, and I want to go back to that because what a good lane for Pushu and Yellowstar. They absolutely dominated Tabs and Mythy. I think they won 3 2v2s just straight up without any additional assistance before junglers started getting involved.
And even before 2v2s, I wanted to keep the focus up in the top lane for that clip, but down bottom, that whole time, they were zoning out Kennen even worse than Soaz was getting zoned out up top. Kennen was level 1, they pushed him off the turret, and they went deep into the second turret and actually killed him there too. So 2 versus 1 and 2 versus 2. The duo lane here with the Ashe Zyra was phenomenal.
Yeah, that's right. And after Zoro Zero had felt that pain, had given up the death, was losing the farm, Lemondogs are like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's swap. We don't want to get him shut down. So they ended up putting their duo lane to fight up against Pusher and Yellowstar. It kind of backfired, and this is where the second clip's going to come from. So let's pull the second clip up onto your screen. It does start out initially as a 2v2, but it gets very dramatic very quickly.
Yes, and this basically should have been a clean kill here for Fnatic, but it's just some really strong synergy between Tabs and Mythy. They don't even have time to communicate this move that they pull off, but it's the only response they have where they can actually come out and draw even with this Ashe Zyra. They end up going 2 for 2 here. So let's roll this one through pretty slowly. Okay, it's going to start out normally how all these Ashe Zyra dives have started out. Pushu's going to get some good damage here while they land the snare into Ashe Arrow, followed up with the Stranglethorns. Nothing new here, but pause. Tabs tumbles into Pushu in order for Mythy to ult him, so they get the knock up onto Pushu, which he did not expect. He was getting a little bit far forward because he got Tabs was going to roll away, but Tabs rolling into him with his ult on, being invisible, caught him off guard. They get the knock up, and they're going to be able to answer here. Roll the rest of the clip. There's the tower hit, even with the barrier, and it's still going. Pushu's going to come back in because they don't want to let Tabs get away with that play. Yellowstar dives deep. Pushu comes in to try and finish it off. With that volley, he sacrifices his life, but he does set up his support, Yellowstar, for the kill. And all things as they should be, both supports get the kills.
Double doubles from there on out. Yellowstar, I think he ended up going 5-1-5 before. I think he thought he was an AD carry, and a 5-1-5 AD carry is a lot scarier than a 5-1-5 support. He ended up giving a few more deaths as the game went on, but basically from that team fight, from that little duo rather, Fnatic just continued to dive. They continued to use that Bloodwell passive of Aatrox, and I think Pushu hit every single arrow he fired. I do not think he missed an arrow in that game.
He had a pretty good hit percentage.
And every single time either the grasping roots or the arrow landed, they instantly followed it up with absolutely everything else. Fnatic did not hesitate to fight no matter where they were on the map.
EG were quick to respond to this. They banned Ashe after they got beat by it from Fnatic. We'll have to see if Lemondogs will do the same thing. But first, Let's pull up one more clip.
So we do have one more clip, and it is actually a highlight that'll show you exactly how confident Fnatic were. And hopefully for Lemon Dogs, this will be what they'll be evaluating to figure out what they have to fix, because they've lost to this in 2 games in a row. Let's pull the third replay up on your screen. It is a tower dive in this bottom lane.
All right, so this is Ash Zyra working with the rest of their Fnatic team. And it shows multiple things here. Let's slowly play the clip through, 50% speed here, and we can see, starts off again, Ash Arrow, 0-0, as they mentioned, didn't have his Zanyas yet, so, you know, he's able to pull off the ultimate, but that's about it. Ash is free to flash in after this, and this is where Dexter even kicks him to safety, as they said, getting even deeper between the turrets. The rest of Fnatic realize this, they all dive deep between 2 turrets here. And here's where Peke's build of the split pushing build, where it's fully focused on magic resist and mana regen, actually bit him in the butt because he didn't have the power to finish off a support Lulu. But he got the kill anyway, and he just had to pay for it with his own life, and it was still a huge win for Fnatic. That build from Peke more than paid for it himself. That's why they're so far ahead in gold at this point.
Interesting to note that Pushy was able to survive 2 potential deaths there, thanks to a kickback from Lee Sin and a condemn knockback from Vayne.
Those
just
barriers.
as an aside. Just
the barrier
as an aside.
coming out. That's why you save the barrier to the last second.
The very, very last auto attack coming in.
Wait till you see the whites of their eyes. Then you pop it.
So once again, Fnatic, they pick up a win here. This is a best of 5, remember. So they now are 2-0 up. They have 3 championship points, as it were, for the European Regional Championships here to crown themselves #1 for the 2nd split in a row. And the question is, if you're Lemon Dogs, your first pick now, Ash or Zyra, ban or pick? What do you think?
I'd probably see a ban on Ash. I mean, a lot of these European teams have been banning mid laners. Just tons and tons of mid lane champions have been being banned. But all of these mid lane European players are so good, and their champion pools are so deep. I feel like they could skip out on a bunch of these mid lane bans, and their mid laner would have just as many options as the other one.
Well, I tend to agree with you. We'll see whether or not the Lemon Dogs do agree. And once again, we do have to take a very quick break, but when we return, Fnatic can close it out and win their 2nd split championship in a row with just 1 more victory of the potential 3 games. The European LCS Regional Finals live from Gamescom will continue right after these short messages.